Everybody, video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so trying to just let my brainstorm as I always do. Um, Thinking about the Russell Westbrook contract and where it makes sense to go besides Charlotte if for some reason we can't get a deal going with Charlotte. And what my mind is floating to is understanding that wherever we send it, just like we need $47 million worth of cap space represented in players, they too probably need $47 million represented in cap space, even for this upcoming season. So where you would have to send it to is a team that can live without $47 million worth of adequate cap space this upcoming season. That is the equation the Lakers are going to have to figure out if for some reason Charlotte doesn't work out or Houston doesn't work out. You got to find a team that has so much flexibility, but a team that may want to free up cap space next year. And the only team, and that doesn't make any sense because if they have flexibility, why the hell would they want to free up cap space? So that's the conundrum that I'm digging into in my head. It's like how the hell do you get rid of this thing if for some reason you don't take one of them two other deals? And like my thinking, I don't think it was aligned right. I think I hit a snag in the way I was thinking because my mindset was like, okay, well, wherever you send him, the fit doesn't necessarily have to be great because they can just sit him all year. But given the fact that it's an expiring contract, it really doesn't matter if, he's healthy or not. You know what I mean? Of course you want the man to be healthy, but the point is you sit a player to keep from having him get injured so that the value goes to, left. But the fact of the matter is, because it's expiring, it doesn't matter what state he's in so long as the contract plays itself out and it expires. So he could sit, he could play, health permitting, championship, doesn't matter. As long as, you just wait the timeout. You wait out how long it is going to be. So in this case, it's expiring. And that means you want to send him to a place that, in theory, the fit will be good for him. Now, why do you care if the fit's good for him? You don't necessarily, but obviously you want to find someone who would be willing to take the contract. So it's not necessarily someone who doesn't need the cap space. So that's tricky. It's very tricky. You need a team who will punt this season, but has a player or a set of players or a vision that they want to start executing next season involving $47 million and need you to get rid of some of their contracts that they have in order to free that up for them then. That's the equation. So, I don't know who that team is. I didn't say I had the answer. I said the equation. But I can tell you that Charlotte looks pretty good given the fact that they have Miles Bridges in place and need to pay him. And, of course, adding Russell Westbrook, as I've mentioned before, the style of play could be worse. He's going to have to come off the bench likely. But I think he and LaMelo Ball can play off one another pretty well given LaMelo's strengths. I think that he's exactly the kind of player that can play in the backcourt with Russell Westbrook offensively. Defensively, I'm not certain. But nevertheless, I mean, it's just for 1 year. So you're signing up for that, and then boom, he's off the books. You get to pay Bridges. You get to do everything you need to do to further make your team whichever you want it to be with that cap space. So, yeah. Is there other places it can go? That's what I want to figure out. Because obviously, if you have another place you can send it, you don't have to get fleeced by Mitch Kupchak. So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Where the hell else can that thing go? And obviously, I'm not looking in the Rockets' direction because their price has been the same for the past year. So we know what it is with them. But it has to. And as I was thinking about all this, I just said, well, the circumstance itself may not be available right now. That the scenario where that would be the case may not necessarily be present today, but give it a couple more weeks when free agency opens up, and that scenario more than likely will manifest in several places. Aiton's situation looks interesting to me because Phoenix definitely doesn't have his money and hasn't had it. When they paid Chris Paul, they let us know that they didn't see him as a max player, so that's something that you know he's going to be moving on from. Detroit's interested. They have his money, so that's not going to be a problem if he's up for going there. They don't need us. But if he would, for some reason, choose another team and they don't have that cap space, that boom, that's our spot. That's where you send it. Or you create an opportunity for them to land it with extra teams and stuff like that. But the point is, that's you're in. Maybe there's another couple of spots like that. Maybe there's a couple of situations like that that may manifest over the next several weeks. If not, he starts the season as a Laker, and then you try trading it again at the halfway mark, as to which more scenarios will open up when we start to know more as the season starts and you start to see how things plan themselves out. You'll start seeing guys get happy, unhappy. You start hearing rumors about guys want to go somewhere next summer, and that is when you can find the team that needs that $47 million worth of cap space in Russell Westbrook. Problem is, you then are in the middle of a win-now season where you're moving one of the biggest pieces and likely bringing back multiple pieces. As to which, whatever that is, if it don't fit, it's disrupting your season. And that's a lost year for LeBron James. So you don't want to do that. You want to move that thing now. You do not want to start the season with Russell Westbrook and with the intent of trading him halfway through the season. That's our worst case scenario, and it really disrupts your chance of winning a championship. That's assuming you're even in the mix for a championship, which we don't expect to be, but we are trying to build a win-now team. So in order for us to effectively accomplish that, you got to get rid of Russell Westbrook's contract. So that's why I'm telling everybody, like, I don't think the Lakers, it makes zero sense for the Lakers to even have Russell Westbrook on contract with the intent of keeping LeBron James and Anthony Davis. If you're going to have him, you should probably move them, because you're definitely not a win-now team if you have him this year. It's the same thing I said about the Nets situation in regards to Ben Simmons and KD and Kyrie. Because Ben Simmons is there on a maximum contract and you likely can't move that contract, you probably do better not thinking of yourself as a win-now team, because if he's not healthy at 100% and that fit ain't absolutely going to work, you're not going to be good enough to make KD and Kyrie's year make sense. So that situation's parallel to me. They're in the exact same situation. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at, you guys. That is exactly what I'm looking at. That Westbrook contract got to move, but honestly, there's only a few places it probably can go. Now, look at a team like Orlando. They don't need no cap space. You know, obviously they could bring him in and sit him for the year and be happy with the cap space at the end of the year, but like I said, they don't need it. So that's the type of situation that you may be able to get away with sending him to if for some reason a team like that just decides they want a free agent, you know, a bunch of free agent money or something like that for next season. But you got to find who that may be. So the Knicks make a lot of sense. You know, I'm sure they want to free up cap space in a lot of different ways so they can do a lot of different things. But the problem with the Knicks is you're taking back stuff that's going to make your flexibility worse if you're the Lakers. So unless you can find a third team that will take that trash, and I can't see one reason why anybody would want to do that for us, then you're just going to be stuck with contracts you don't want anyway that aren't expiring at the end of the season. It gives you a worse situation. So, you know, I mean, it's tough, man. The Lakers are in a real tough spot. This Kyrie situation, you know, you got LeBron in the balance, and I just feel like, you know, it's probably best, you know, to just kind of, if you got a good plan in place in regards to moving that contract, ship it out, ship that thing out. Relieve yourself of that headache sooner than later. And that way you can have everything fall into place for your timeline. Even if Kyrie doesn't land here, you still have that $47 million worth of cap space or whatever you bring in place of it to move forward and trade, or rather bring, you know, to the table at the beginning of the season and trade at the deadline if you have to. So you need that to be straightened out sooner than later. So hopefully they'll do that, man. That's all I have to say about the situation. Just kind of wanted to address the contract in the ability to move the thing, because we've talked about that a lot. And as I've said to you guys, I just don't think the media is necessarily going to tell us all that we need to know about that contract, because they're too busy trying to push this entertaining narrative about Russell Westbrook being a bumbling fool. So you can't do that and be honest about what the value of the contract could possibly be. So, or rather push that narrative as much as you do the other. It's better at representation of the thoughts. So it is what it is, man. I think I'm gonna get away from all this basketball talk, probably get into a different art form of mine, do some music. But I appreciate everybody rocking with BDF 44 in my favorite time of year, the NBA offseason, where my brain can just peace.